sex crimes against children. As you mentioned, the state of Connecticut and lawmakers here are looking to extend that statute of limitations. Some are even looking to reach back in time to prosecute past offenders, which could include a group of priests from the Bridgeport Diocese.
I had a job answering phones after school at the rectory, and that's where he decided to move in for the kill.
A former altar boy at St. Thomas the Apostle Church in Norwalk, John Fleetwood came to the state capitol this afternoon, where state lawmakers are talking about extending the statute of limitations to 30 years for those who would sexually assault children.
We're protecting future generations as well, and I mean, you get these predators off the street and the statistic goes down considerably, so that's our objective.
Fleetwood is one of dozens of victims who were molested by 6 priests in the Bridgeport Diocese going back as far as the 1960s. The victims recently settled a lawsuit with the diocese, but could not bring a criminal case because the statute of limitations had expired. Some lawmakers want to change the law to now allow for criminal prosecution.
We'd like to do this year for child sexual abuse what we did last year for DNA cases, allow the prosecutors to go backwards in time, and where they can actually prove a case, bring the criminal charges.
You know, involve civil cases, say the Bridgeport Diocese case.
Helen McGonigal is with the Connecticut Bar Association, and she says changing the statute of limitations to file criminal charges retroactively poses serious legal questions.
For a crime to be committed, there always has to be a criminal intent, and how can a criminal sexual predator know or anticipate a change in the law?
Now, proponents of the law say that it is very important to extend the statute of limitations. That's because they say a lot of times these victims are young children, and it takes them a while to deal with what happened to them and to come forward to tell their story. Al, back to you in the studio.
John Moroney live outside the state capitol. Thanks, John. Now, this statute of limitations bill is just one of 7 bills discussed today aimed at protecting children. Another one would make sex with a minor by a coach or instructor susceptible to an assault charge. Now, this is a law that's already in place in the case of teachers accused of having sex with their students.
Earlier this month, Eyewitness News was first to tell you that state police staffing of Connecticut's sex offender registry has been drastically cut. Tonight, we've learned that other important state police units have also suffered major reductions due to budget cutbacks. Channel 3's Brian Garnett joins us now from the newsroom with this I-Team investigation. Brian?
Denise, at least one state lawmaker tonight charging that public safety is being compromised by the latest cutbacks revealed at state police headquarters. The layoffs of so-called retired, rehired state troopers had first affected the effort to tell parents about a pedophile down the street. Now the cutback taking a toll on 2 other state police units which oversee who can work at state casinos and who is qualified to become a state trooper.
We've had to make cutbacks, and we have in fact cut back and relieved all the part-time employees of their duties.
State budget constraints continuing to stretch staffing levels at state police headquarters. Based on information Eyewitness News obtained through a Freedom of Information request, the Department of Public Safety revealing 18 retired, rehired state troopers have now been let go from the Background Investigations Unit, trying to check out more than 100 recruits before state trooper training begins in June.
What's the loss of 18 people going to do to you in that particular unit?
Well, it impacted the unit significantly.
I'm definitely going to be on the phone with the commissioner and find out what's happening with this budget that we are compromising public safety.
The chair of the legislature's Public Safety Committee concerned about compromising who's allowed to become a cop.
The background checks, again, speaks for itself. When we talk about issues of profiling and police officers, we have so much emphasis over your life and those things that happen, and we don't know who we're getting in.
Another 10 of the highly experienced retired troopers cut from the casino unit, where they did background checks on all gambling personnel at both state casinos.
The Commissioner and the Colonel have taken personnel and borrowed them from other units and reassigned personnel to go perform the functions to achieve the objectives that were set out in those particular units.
According to the Freedom of Information response, a total of 43 retired, rehired troopers were laid off department-wide. And while state police refuse to disclose what full staffing was for the 2 units most affected, they do say neither is back to full force.
Makes you wonder if where the priorities are being set and on what basis they're being set. Certainly, background checks for casino workers is very important. Recruiting new state troopers is extremely important. It's really tough to justify those kinds of agency cuts.
Now, state police maintain the transfers to fill the holes at the casino and background units will not affect the number of troopers out on the road Instead, they say they'll try to use the same injured light-duty troopers, which are already being used to fill in the Megan's Law unit. Al, back to you.
All right, Brian Garnett with that I-Team report in our newsroom. Thanks, Brian. A Ridgefield native is facing more severe drug charges in Russia tonight. You recall we told you about 24-year-old John Tobin and how he was arrested last month for possession of marijuana. Well, now he's been charged with being part of a criminal gang that was dealing drugs. Tobin attracted national attention because Russia's Federal Security Service initially suspected him of being a spy, but authorities there decided not to file espionage charges. And we have an update on that newborn abandoned in Greenwich last week. The full-term 5-pound, 5-ounce boy was found wrapped in a blanket lying on a street side not far from an I-95 exit ramp. Tomorrow, the state DCF, the Department of Children and Families, will file papers to terminate the rights of the still unknown parents. The baby in the hospital tonight remains in good condition.
The Yukon women, hoping to get to the Final Four, have one last challenge before heading to St. Louis. It's the Elite Eight tonight in Pittsburgh, when Yukon faces Louisiana Tech in less than an hour. Channel 3's Eric Clemons reports.
Mellon Arena is all set for tonight's tip-off between Yukon and Louisiana Tech for the right to reach the Final Four in St. Louis. Both teams are eerily similar. They both bring in long winning streaks and rich basketball history, so you can expect a knockdown drag-out tonight.
I think that Louisiana Tech is a very physical team inside. They have some great post players in Tanisha Lewis and Iona Walker. We matched up with them earlier on in the year, but you know that's just a measuring stick for what comes on later on down the road, because everybody gets better, every team gets better.
Obviously, there are benefits of playing against a team before. I think, if anything, they're going to be very, very excited and very, very motivated, very emotional to play us because of the way we beat them on their home court. So maybe that'll work for us, maybe it'll work against us, I'm not sure.
They aren't going anywhere. They're still there, and we're still here. And it's time to meet again, and I think we've learned a lot for us playing them in the beginning, for us post defense and everything, and I think we'll do a lot better.